Hi, this is attorney Jamie Miller from the Miller Law Chronicles. We're going to have another episode podcast today. I think it's podcast number 6, really exciting. But today we're going to talk about getting items off of your credit report. So there's 2 methods to get things off of your credit report. You can settle the debt, do debt negotiation, or you can file for bankruptcy. If you're going to negotiate with your debt, we're going to talk to you about making sure you get those items off your credit report, and the same thing with filing bankruptcy. Because if you go through one of these processes and you complete the process, and at the end of the day, you don't get your credit report cleaned up, you really haven't accomplished helping yourself get to that 720 credit score. But today, in today's podcast, like all of our podcasts, our goal is to help simplify the legal maze by giving you clarity and confidence as you go through the legal process. That's our mission of this podcast. I appreciate you listening in. If you have any questions or anything like that, you can always reach out to us. Thank you. Hi, this is attorney Jamie Miller, and I wanted to spend a few minutes on our podcast today and talk about the high cost of having bad credit. And I see a lot of people that come into our office and talk to me about their bad credit, that their credit scores in the high 400s or the low 500s, and they're always concerned about whether or not they want to file a bankruptcy or continue on with what they're doing and try to find a way to improve their credit outside of filing a bankruptcy. Because the big concern when somebody comes in and says, if I file bankruptcy, how is the filing of that bankruptcy going to impact my credit score? So when someone comes in, they have a 500 credit score, the answer is very simple. The filing of a bankruptcy is not going to put you in any worse credit shape than you are at the moment if your credit score essentially is less than 600. And let me tell you why. Well, when you're faced with bad credit and your credit score is below $600, you're really going to be hard pressed to get a car loan at a reasonable interest rate, to get a reasonable insurance rates, to get a mortgage rate. But when you file for bankruptcy, your bankruptcy is going to discharge your debts and improve your credit score dramatically over a period of time. See, the first step in getting good credit is making sure that all of the negative credit information on your credit report doesn't appear there anymore. Your credit is evaluated by several factors. It's evaluated by what we refer to as your payment history and your debt to income ratio issue. The debt to income ratio is a number that says how much debt you have on your credit report, how much open lines of credit do you have relative to the amount of income that you have, and essentially with the income you have, are you able to pay back the debt that you have? Now, if your debt to income ratio is really high, your credit score is going to drop. And I see a lot of people that they come in and they may have, a lot of credit card debt, medical debt. They're up to date on everything, but their credit score continues to drop. So even though you are up to date on your credit report, you're still going to see, if you have a high debt to income ratio, that your credit score could continue to drop. So when someone's faced with the decision to file a bankruptcy, the filing of the bankruptcy is going to give us an opportunity to go to your credit report and wipe out all of your debt in one fell swoosh, right? If you have 10 different debts or 15 different debts, the filing of the bankruptcy gives you a clean slate on that debt. And often I'll talk to people, well, should I just do debt negotiation and negotiate my creditors and not file for bankruptcy? That can be a good option. But I always tell people to keep in mind, if you have 10 different elements or 10 different situations of bad credit on your credit report, If you're able to get rid of all of them, fantastic. If you're able to get rid of 9 of them, that's okay. But that one item that you didn't get resolved on your credit report is something that could haunt you. So if you're going to choose a non-bankruptcy option, make sure you put together a plan that is going to allow you to get rid of all of your debt rather than just some of your debt. Because unless you get everything cleared off your credit report, the filing of the bankruptcy or doing debt negotiation isn't something that can help you. Now, the other critical part, you may settle all of your debt, but you need to make sure that at the end of the day, all of that debt on your credit report reflects that it's been satisfied, that reflects that it's been paid. Because if you don't take that step to get it off of your credit report, you're not doing anything to help build that new credit. And that's why when we file bankruptcy for our clients and we help people restore their credit after bankruptcy, the most important thing that we do after a bankruptcy discharge is to go to their credit report immediately upon the discharge, take note of the items on the credit report that still show credit owed. We make sure that the bankruptcy discharge reflects that the debt on each line item on the credit report shows that debt is gone. And unless we take that step and clear that off, that debt, even though you may have discharged it in the bankruptcy, it could still show that and still impact your debt to income ratio. And so that's why it's so important when you do debt negotiation to make sure the items fall off your credit report, or when you do a bankruptcy, make sure that you discharge those debts, of course, in the bankruptcy. But please take that next step and go to your credit report and make sure after your bankruptcy discharge, and we help our clients with that, but immediately make sure that every debt on your credit report that was discharged in your bankruptcy properly reflects that the debt is gone. So it no longer reports or no longer is reflected in your debt to income ratio. Now, the path to new credit can be really complicated. There's many elements to it. Today, I just really wanted to focus on debt negotiation versus bankruptcy and clearing those items off of your credit report. We're here to help. I appreciate you listening to the podcast today, and I would ask that you subscribe to our YouTube page. I would ask that you favorite, that you on Apple, on Google Podcasts, or on Spotify, that you follow us. Lots of great information coming weekly from the Miller Law Chronicles. I really appreciate you listening.